so
Can I bother you with the?
yes, I will get you a paper copy.
Oh,
Okay, come on. We are live. I just want to test the audio, but YouTube's being a little sluggish today. Oh, there we go. Ooh. Okay, we're good. We're live. You are great to start.
All right, everybody, let's go ahead and call to order at 6:30. I'll start with the reading of the open public meeting statement. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the rights of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies, at which time any business affecting their interest is discussed and acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Board of Education Policy 0162, the Board of Education of the Borough of Bound Brook has caused notice of this meeting to be posted in the board office and at Bound Brook High School and mailed or faxed to the Courier News, Bound Brook Borough Clerk, South Bound Brook Board of Education, and any person who has requested individual notice and paid the required fee. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Gorski, your roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Bell.
here.
Mr. Dawson.
Here.
Ms. Casino.
Here.
Ms. Lima.
Here.
Mr. Minhas. Here. Ms. Moosen.
Here.
Mr. Zupko.
Here.
And Mr. Januzzi.
Here.
Mr. Board President, you have a quorum present this evening.
Thank you, sir. All right, we have an atypical item on our agenda tonight. It's item number 1.5. We are actually going to formally adopt the resignations of both Tricia Romano and Michelle DeFazio. So I'll just read the resolution here. Whereas Tricia Russomanno and Michelle DeFazio were members of the Bound Brook Board of Education, and whereas via correspondence from Ms. Russomanno on October 10th, 2022, and correspondence from Ms. DeFazio on October 10th, 2022, both received by the board secretary. Each of these individuals communicated that they were resigning from their respective position as the Board of Education member, effective immediately. And it is hereby resolved on the 12th day of October, 2022, that the Bound Brook Board of Education accepts and recognizes the resignations of Ms. Russomanno and Ms. DeFazio effective immediately. So I don't think we have to move or vote anything other than that. Is that correct, Bob? Okay, so just for everybody's reference, officially now, the seats that were occupied by Michelle and Tricia are vacant. We will be moving to post those to make sure that the public understands that they're available vacancies. I believe that posting goes live tomorrow, and then we will entertain any available candidates to replace them. If you know of anybody within the community, please do encourage them to contact Mr. Gorski to submit their letter of interest. Otherwise, we will react to those as they arrive. For my comments this
Thank them
evening,
both.
I'm sorry, that's
No,
okay.
I'm sorry. I would like to thank them both. Michelle, my boys were in pre-K, freshman now, but both for their service.
Any other comments or questions about 1.5? All right. For president's comments tonight, again, as I attempt every meeting, I will try and be brief. Sometimes it works out better than others. This is really intended to be our discussion meeting tonight, so I think we had a really great set of introductory committee meetings on our new schedule last week. It feels like so long ago, but it was just last week. And we have really great updates from each of the chair people for this evening. I don't want to steal any of their thunder, but very, very productive discussions. Looking forward to the full board receiving those updates now and asking any questions that they may have. And I think with that, we will move right into the committee updates.
We're just going to order.
Yeah, Edith, are you okay going first?
Yes, that's fine.
Great.
Okay, so,
I apologize, not to cut you off for 1 second. I went right past item number 2, which is our superintendent.
Listen, I thought that was the new question.
He was like, yes, I
blew right past it.
Well, good evening, Mr. President, Board. We are in a little more than 4 weeks of school. Everything is going well. Our teachers and students have found their groove. I've had the opportunity to visit each school probably twice now and go into a lot of classrooms. Outstanding lessons, teaching and learning going on. So I want to commend the teachers and tell them to keep up the good work. Administrators as well, give them the support that they need. In addition to that, we had 2 events that were noteworthy. First, we had our robotics showcase at the Bridgewater Commons, where 2 of our teachers, Mr. Houston and Miss Belly, her new last name, organized and implemented a tremendous showcase where there was a tremendous amount of activities for the community, everything from making robots to blocks from 2-year-olds. It was an amazing event. I got to take my kids. It was something that was tremendous for not only our students, but the community, bringing everybody together. So I want to commend Mr. Houston and Ms. Belly, and also Ethicon, our partner, who really gave them all support and looked like to me an open check to make everything happen, to make it an outstanding event for our community. So I want to commend them for that. We also had NJ Cares along with Medicon, who came in to partner with us in our schools to create murals, to work with kids. It was an amazing thing to see the people from the company come out, work with our students to make our school a better place. And it was a true example of what a community partnership is about. So I want to thank NJ Cares, everyone who came out for an outstanding contribution to our community, and let them know that we look forward to working with them again in the future. And those are the 2 activities that we have. So that, I think, concludes my report, Mr. President.
Very good, thank you. All right, Edith.
I think you're really up.
Okay, so the first thing is regarding professional development. So the teachers have been given the opportunity for professional development through Google Grants. I don't recall how many hours that is, but there is opportunity for professional development through this grant. In addition to that, in continuing support of professional development, the district is starting an initiative for professional development that is more, where teachers have the opportunity to be able to look for workshops that are more geared towards their specific interest or their area of specialty. And so they'll be able to do these hours outside of the school hours to be able to count towards the professional development hours that they have to have every year. So this is something that was reported that, the teachers seem to be taken advantage of or wanting to do this as now they can really look for things that are, again, more towards their area and more specific to their need. Going into our English language learners and the ESL, based on the number of students that need ESL services, we are looking, I believe, at hiring. Again, we need to hire 2 new teachers, one at Lafayette and one at Smalley. The one at Lafayette is to help reduce the caseload that is currently already there. And then the teacher for Smalley would be to provide both the bilingual component as well as the ESL services. I know that has been, a big challenge, not only in this district, but around the state in terms of finding teachers, and again, more specifically when it's relating to an area as ESL or bilingual teachers. The district, in an effort to help with the high percentage of bilingual students in the district, every teacher is trained in sheltered instruction, which is basically to support students in a bilingual setting, to provide support in how to, when they're providing instruction, to provide it in a way where the child is able to, the vocabulary is reviewed more, again, geared towards those students who, with the, that are bilingual. And we currently have bilingual from kinder through 6th grade. That's the ESL and English language, and the district was awarded 2 awards. One by the school boards, the Work Placement Award for the CTE program. And then another one by the New Jersey Public Relations. I think that's what it is, the New Jersey Public Relations. They received, the district received that award for the video, Bound to Astound. And I believe that was it.
That's great. Thanks, Edith. If I could just make one comment before we get into questions and other observations. I think one of the things that I was most impressed by, having sat through all the committee meetings for this round, is how many of the touch points we were able to identify and brief all of the committees on. So you heard some of Edith's comments about educational resources and what the education committee is focused on in terms of making sure that priority-wise our students have what they need. Those same thematic elements will also appear in some of our comments from the HR committee and were considered in the operations committee when it comes time to figure out whether or not it's in budget or we're making alternative decisions. So I just want to reinforce the interconnected nature of some of these items and call out to you guys to look for those themes as you hear more from the committees. So maybe we want to take comments or questions, Mike?
Nothing? No? Anybody?
Any questions for Edith on education committee?
Sounds great.
Thanks, Lisa.
Yeah. And I would just like to add that I think this format is super helpful, just to hear everything that Edith explained to the group. It's really, really helpful, so.
Awesome. All right,
Want to go to
governance,
governance?
please.
Okay. So governance, we started out running through a few different versions of a charter for our new committee for, which I believe Lisa is going to be chairing. Is that right, Lisa? The Communications and Community Relations Committee.
That is right.
Okay, we picked one of the 3. I actually got them from Gwen. Gwen Thornton. She was nice enough to pass on a few from some other schools that she works with. We chose one. We passed it on to Lisa to, use in her committee to test it out, to see if it needs to be revised in any way, anything added, anything taken out, as far as their charge, to see how that works for the next 3 months, because they are currently an ad hoc committee. So they have some flexibility right now before we make it an official board policy. So they can test it out and see, as they're the ones who need to, do it day to day and week to week, they should really have final say on exactly what's going into that charter. So they're going to be testing out for the next 3 months or so. And our plan right now is to make them an official standing committee, I believe in January, right? When we reorganize. Okay. Next one's, we have been talking a little bit about making our district goals a little bit more physically visible to the community, whether that be here at meetings or in other places, maybe perhaps in the board offices, in the schools. But one thing that we are talking about, I hope you understand what we're talking about here, is maybe at our meetings, having one of those stand-up, kind of like a flip thing where the board goals would be posted at our meetings so that everybody could see them, so that we can see them as well, so that we kind of remember as we're going through things here, ultimately, where we're headed and what we're trying to do with every decision we make. So we just want to make the community more aware of our goals year to year. So we're in the process of having that printed up and figuring out exactly where and how we're going to do it. But those should be visible hopefully very soon, right? Yeah. Okay. And I think Dr. Freeman was taking care of it, right? You're on that. Okay. I don't know who eventually ended up taking the lead on that.
Right.
Okay. Then we went through some policy updates. Quite honestly, I don't want to bore you with all that. It was a lot of boilerplate stuff. The only one we kind of had to table was a little bit on the dress code, because there's I believe a dress code committee that's going to be discussing that one. So that one couldn't really be finalized and moved forward for us to vote on. Some of our dress code language right now is a little bit archaic. We have some gender specific stuff in there that we're probably gonna remove. But that's all really for the committee to discuss when they meet. And by the way, I didn't ask at the time, but I'm not sure who makes up that committee, honestly.
So there'll be teachers from each school, representatives from each school, from both bargaining units. They'll
Okay.
sit on the committee so that everybody has input.
Okay. The other stuff was smaller. We talked about how, and you guys got it, I hope, that we want to send out the board, the meeting agendas a little bit earlier. I hope you guys got the PDF version that Dr. Freeman sent, I believe, on Friday. And it is, not an easy to read format. I think it was 38 pages, but it gives us a nice preview of what's coming up so that we can ask questions ahead of time. Just be aware that when you get that, obviously, because it's on a Friday and we don't meet until Wednesday, there could be some changes between that Friday and that Wednesday. I'm sure Dr. Freeman will make us aware of those if there's anything, substantive that we really need to know about before we vote. But look for those on Friday for a preview, which is something we've been asking for a while. So we would definitely appreciate it as a committee that happened so quickly. And the last thing that we talked about very briefly was we are going to be getting via email any notifications of what we're calling school situations, as we have gotten actually over the last week or so. If there are any kind of emergency things, like unfortunately, these things happen, like bomb threats and accidents and evacuations and those things. And we just ask, which I know you know, but just to say it again, please do not reply all, because that's something, not with this particular board, but in the past, we've had some issues with. So just remember not to reply all when you get those. If you have any questions, reply directly to Dr. Freeman, and he can answer your questions. And if I missed anything, let me know, but I think that's all I had.
I think it was great.
Okay, any questions for I know, maybe we should do questions like as we do each item, I don't know. Anybody have any questions? Oh, I know that was 6 items rapid fire.
It's okay. People make.
Okay.
All right, no questions. HR is up, Joanna.
Okay. So we met on the 3rd to talk about exit surveys, open positions, and personnel needs. And with respect to the exit surveys, we discussed being proactive in staff satisfaction reports, in addition to the exit interviews. Would the district benefit from pulse surveys for new hires to ensure satisfaction within the district, allowing an opportunity for dialogue between staff and admin? Some general timelines regarding the pulse survey were discussed, for example, 3, 6, and 9 month marks. And while an area of focus with no specific plans were discussed or endorsed by the committee, the admin team will continue to consider potential alternatives to the current practices and return with recommendations for consideration. Committee reviewed the current open positions and where the district is in trying to fill them. This is the same report / spreadsheet that we got in our weekend report we received. The spreadsheet outlines our open positions, along with some historical perspective on how those positions came to be vacant. As a hypothetical example, a new hire accepted a job in the district, but an opportunity closer to their home became open and they took that job. Any questions, contact myself or Dr. Freeman regarding that. And then the third, personnel needs. The state aid money that we received was greater than anticipated, and the committee discussed ways to use the money to bolster our most in need departments. Our new admin team is not just filling budgeted open positions, they're actively evaluating what the district needs. This has translated into some budgeted open positions being eliminated and reallocated to departments that are considered in need, with a focus right now on CST, ELL, and supporting services. This is something that would level out over time, and the committee and the board should continue to expect for the duration of the school year, but it should level out. Overall, The consensus of the district and staff has been positive, and the new year has started off with a very positive and upbeat attitude. And I'd also like to add that the negotiation committees have reached an agreement with the EDA with details to be discussed. And we're looking forward to moving forward with that.
Love it, love it.
Negotiations.
Yay.
Yay!
So the only thing that I would maybe add or elaborate on has to do with the reports that are being received related to HR information. So as Joanna mentioned, the HR committee reviews those in detail. We walk through them with the administrators, but we're not exactly looking at different reports. So my question to the members, really the question that came from the committee is, if you have suggestions, if there's things you understand or things you don't understand, if there's supplemental information that you think would be helpful, that's all great feedback. Send it in to Joanna for the committee or Dr. Freeman on behalf of the administrators. You know, these are working documents, so we want to make sure that everybody's getting the most out of the reports, that you're receiving them, that you're understanding them, that you're able to make informed decisions based on what you're seeing. So if you would like more or different, please speak up.
I like that we were able to see the historical, the perspective, like why this became vacant, like how this happened.
Yeah. Well, and again, my own observations, I think it ties into things that we've discussed historically about retention rates, about
Right.
resignations, about retirements, about why people were leaving the district, so that we can better understand those dynamics and make appropriate adjustments at a policy level if they're necessary, right? So I think now we're getting to a point where we have the information and we're seeing it on a regular routine basis where we can make those types of adjustments.
And I just had a comment regarding the, I guess like the climate surveys. Isn't it sort of part of the, I know you guys have the social emotional, I'll say if it's curriculum or support, but wouldn't that include like climate surveys, not only with staff, but with teachers as well?
Yes.
So-
What, you mean with students?
I mean, right, with the
Yes.
students and the teachers?
It will include students, teachers, and parents.
Okay, because so you were mentioning about a survey, but is there a way to like tie that in together, have that information along with?
I think in the meeting, we discussed mainly new hires and where they were at the 3, 6, and 9 month mark, generally. But I don't see if Dr.
Yeah, we can definitely make that happen. We're gonna use a couple of avenues. We have the survey, the climate survey with Rutgers that I explained to you about. But I also talked to the company that was used last year. I can't think of the name offhand. But we talked about some separate surveys that they could put together for us to deal with different groups, the new teachers, veteran teachers, students, parents. And one of the questions that was asked about the Rutgers survey was, could we put our own questions? Could the board give questions that they wanted as well? It's not that flexible, but if we use the company, this other company, we can add the questions that the board would like to include. So we're probably going to use a combination of both, and we'll hit every group that you just discussed.
So I was actually gonna say, we've done this fairly recently and tried to hit as many groups as possible, and I think we found that the biggest roadblock was, response rate. We had a hard time, especially with staff getting a good response rate on a lot of these surveys, and I think it's natural to, I feel like the numbers we saw kind of petered out as the year went on. You got a lot more at the beginning than you did at the end. I know that we had asked, previous administration if maybe we could specifically allocate some time for the staff to fill these out, like at a faculty meeting, can they have 10 minutes to say, for these first or last 10 minutes or whatever, use this time to fill out the survey so that we can get, more time without, because I know as a teacher, a lot of the times you say, here's just one more thing on my plate, right? It's 10 minutes that I just don't have in my day, or 10 minutes that you honestly just forget because you're planning or you're grading or whatever. So if you're given those really, and it probably is 10 minutes, that can be super helpful to get more responses. And I also want to say, honestly, on a totally different topic, your last point, kudos to the administration on the budget reallocations, because honestly, I feel like a lot of districts do just say like, this position's open, we have to fill it, and they never really think about, is that position even necessary anymore? And why are we spending money in this way? And I guess, I mean, it comes with being, you know, a new administration that they want to do things their own way, but also just the fact that you're willing to kind of peel back all the layers and really look at exactly what's needed in the district is, I think, something that hasn't been done in a while, and I think it's awesome. I think, I mean, we may even find that we're saving money after all of this, and that's amazing. I think that's great. So thank you for taking that on, because I'm sure it's not an easy task.
Thank you.
That's it for me.
Any other comments, questions on HR? Okay, Roger, the floor is yours for operations.
Okay, well, I wanted to first, for operations, just want to give kudos to Mr. Gorski, who was very diligent in helping, preparing a lot of information that we're going to be going over tonight. It was a lot, it was detailed, and I want to thank you tremendously. Begin with the debt service state report update in relation to how the district is doing with our overall indebtedness. And basically, to crunch this down, we're actually doing better. We're right on target. We're actually, our overall indebtedness was less than other school districts of a similar size. So that report has been completed and submitted for the year 2022. And based on explanations and discussions in relation to that, I think that that is, we're handling that relatively well. We also discussed the need to expedite the ASSA and DRTRS reports, their state reports, to be in on November or December instead of usually the conclusion of the school year. One of the benefits for that is that we want to try to, again, being proactive, which is part of this new administration, which I want to thank. That's part of the administration's and the board's effort to be proactive. So we want to be proactive in finding the errors so they can be corrected before the final filing deadline. So we all talked about that. We thought that that was you know, something that we were going to go forward with. We also discussed the Lamont school elevator failure issue. To make a long story short, that because of the elevator drop test that occurred at Lamont back in earlier in the year, we will be eligible for insurance coverage subject to our deductible. There was a discussion on how, that if that would be the case, because it was discussed and it was talked about to this administration later than when things should be filed, but I think we're going to be in good shape for that. And that our insurance carrier will most likely be able to take care of the expenses on that. And if there's any expenses that comes back to us, we could, you know, that would all depend upon the insurance and how much they would cover everything. But I want to again thank the administration for handling that issue very delicately and timely. Which I'm very, very happy for. The elevator will be taken care of, will be fixed, be up and running. Going from that, we wanted to talk about the community schools. Community school roof, there was some failures on the community school roof. It was only replaced around 5 or 6 years ago. Mr. Gorski was, again, incredible. He provided the committee with pictures and a video which showed shingles lifting above the subroof. And Mr. Gorski was saying that, you know, basically that there were an issue with the plywood joints. So we're looking at getting that taken care of. We're looking at making sure that there is a claim was filed, and we want to make sure that insurance will look at that and adjust it. You don't want to have a leak. We don't want to have any damage, any leak, any problems with a roof that's not even 10 years old. So the administration is actively pursuing that is in the process of being taken care of. The other thing which I found as very interesting, as long as I've been on the board, which is a while, We've never done a demographic study, and if we have, I don't remember it. So we talked about a demographic study was to go over who's here and what is the future, where we've been, where we are, and where we're at. And we want to look at how those numbers in town will affect us presently and going forward in the future. So I believe we're going to be going with a gentleman organization. Is it a company or just a
Haber and Associates.
Haber and Associates? So we're going to be going with Mr. Haber and Associates to do that demographic study, and we're looking forward to that information. Finally, again, this was a packed committee meeting, so everyone
They
was-
all were.
everyone
They
was
all
there.
were, yes.
The police access to district surveillance cameras. We were informed by Dr. Freeman that, the Bamberg Police were looking to access cameras in the district. It's looking at to aid the police in the event of emergency situations. This is going to be handled in relation to what is ever in the agreement between the police department and the school district. We want to look at safety, but we also have to counterbalance that with privacy issues. And that's something that I am very comfortable that the administration will be addressing with our police department. And we want our kids to be safe, of course, but there's issues there. It's not a black and white issue. So we're definitely looking at that. And we actually kind of tabled some athletic program discussions due to time. But the committee members, I have been here, and I have to say it was one of the most exciting committee meetings that we've had in a long time. A lot of good discussion, a lot of good debate, and I can't thank the board enough for establishing this new paradigm that we're in, because it's really I think it's helpful, tremendously helpful. So that was it for committee, unless anyone has some questions.
That was it, that's enough.
I think you covered everything.
I can't talk now.
That's very true.
The only thing that I would add is the demographic study appears later on in the agenda tonight. It's actually item number 12.11. So if anybody has any questions about that particular item, that would probably be the time to raise them, not during Roger's committee report. The other things that I would just add to Roger's report, in terms of the filing timings, I think the logic there was to reorganize our schedule so that the reports could be verified in conjunction with our annual audit by our external auditors. So that gets us back to, again, being proactive,
Right.
providing this opportunity to have our work cross-checked, but not actually increasing either cost or administrative burden on the district. So it really is a win-win, and I think that was important. I think that was it for me. Any other questions or comments from Roger? All right, Lisa, you're up with community. What is the actual name of this committee?
Community
Com-
outreach.
I don't know, I feel like
I think it's Community Relations and Communications.
I think that sounds right, yes.
It's on here, community engagement.
Yeah,
I
well,
believe
maybe-
it's now Community Relations and Communications
There you
is your
go.
new name. You good with that?
Yeah, I'm good.
It's your committee.
whatever we call it, you know what the mission is.
I know. Okay, so we had a really exciting first meeting. It was exciting to see it come together and really sit down and go over what we envision this committee's role, purpose, responsibilities are. And we had some great notes. I know Mike had mentioned getting things in from Gwen was really helpful to kind of read through that as a general outline. But we do have, even though we're not really official until January, we actually, we do have some agenda items. We do want to start the ball rolling. We want to get connected with the community. We want to reach out to the Bamberg community. And this committee sits and stands basically as the face front of the board and the district. So I can't express enough to the community out there, whoever's watching, listening, feel free to reach out to us, reach out to me anytime. My email is on the website. If you have a question or an idea or a creative thought, come to the website, reach out to me, reach out to Danny, reach out to Joanna, reach out to Mike, or obviously reach out to Dr. Freeman. So we started off looking at specific goals that maybe are a little more short-term and then some that are a little longer-term. I think one of the things that we know we can start to implement fairly quickly is getting our board goals, district goals, and missions out in front of the community. So we make very clear what we stand for, what the district stands for, what our hopes and our goals are for ourselves, serving the district and serving the community, and using platforms that we're already using as a district on social, Instagram, Facebook, also looking at possibly using TikTok and expanding into that social category as well. We know a lot of our students are on TikTok, so it'd be a great way to connect with them. I know Facebook is sort of going out the window and TikTok is coming in, so we want to be relevant and we want to be able to reach as many people as we can. The other thing that we discussed was communicating with community leaders, partners in the community that are already doing amazing work to support either the community or our students or both. So we'd like to start reaching out. I'm going to take the initiative on this myself to reach out to leaders of different community groups, PTO, different community groups, to see if we can involve them in a committee meeting. We would like to sit down with them, discuss, get ideas, collaborate, see where we can help each other. So that is a short-term goal. We'll look at how we can add that once we hear back from people, have that added to the agenda. Another thing is coming up with ways of including folks at our board meetings. As you can see, we don't have a huge audience here tonight, and we'd like to encourage people to come out, watch us, be involved, and any creative way we can include maybe students, teachers, community leaders, who share with us what they're doing in the community, what we're doing within the internal school community, and ways to expand our board meetings to not just all of us here at the table, but having it be more interactive and inclusive. Let's see, what else do I have? We were thinking of expanding on some of our social and going into the depths of video. And one of the things that we did talk about with Dr. Freeman was maybe a podcast. We think he would be great at it. And
Yes,
so
I can't refuse that.
Now it's been said in public.
yeah, so
You're in.
maybe there's ways that we can include him and get some messages out to the community that way. So we're just starting out. We're just collecting ideas, getting initiatives together. So if anyone has any creative ideas, feel free to let me know.
Wow, impressive first meeting. Good job.
Sounds great.
It's a lot.
I won't hold you to the podcast also.
No,
What time were you there? What time were you there until about 10 o'clock at night?
It was a great meeting. And thank you, Joanna. Thank you, Danny, for sticking up and sticking with me. It's gonna be great.
Any questions or comments for Lisa? The only thing I would stress is, like she mentioned, obviously it's a brand new committee, a lot of ideas, a lot of brainstorming. The more people we can bring to that party, the better the ideas will ultimately be. So please don't hesitate to reach out and share with either Lisa or the committee members if you have thoughts or suggestions.
Could we just make one general comment about committees or question? At the end of the night, I know we had talked about maybe giving more time to each committee. Has there been any further thought given to that? Because I think Lisa, you were last, right? We were an hour behind at that point. So
Yeah.
it seems like the committees are doing what they're intended to do and promote lots of discussion, and a half hour each is probably not going to do it. And I don't know how to solve that problem without having Dr. Freeman here until midnight, every first Monday of the month, which is not really something we want to do.
to be honest with you, I enjoyed the discussion as much as you did, and more so the action that took place after. So I'm willing to stay as long as need be because it's something that's going to move the district forward, and that's why I'm here.
Okay, so what do you think? I mean, we talked about 45 minutes, and how long do you think we realistically need per committee?
It's a great question, and I think feedback would be helpful at this point. Personally, I know we're making a lot of changes. I would hesitate to make too many changes too quickly. I think we should be flexible enough that if we need more time, we should be prepared to take it. And that we would want to stick to the schedule to the best of our ability without disrupting subsequent meetings. So part of, I think, what the issue was is we had a ripple effect where
Yes.
our first meeting of the night ran long, then the second meeting ran long, and then everything was kind of backed up from there on out. So I think the structure of the meetings probably is okay. We were pretty good about sticking to agendas, but there may be times when it's legitimate that a discussion has to run over. And one of the things we talked about was potentially having the ability to run concurrently. So looking back at the schedule and seeing who's affiliated with what topics and making sure that we don't have maybe the same administrative liaison or the same committee lead in back-to-back meetings. And that way, because I think even, for governance, you came in and we weren't even done with operations
Right.
yet. But if we have the right membership, there's no reason why governance committee couldn't start in a different room.
Sure.
And operations finishes up as soon as they're done. So I think we might be able to work on some staggered start times and the groupings to avoid making the night longer in total, but still get all the meetings in and give everybody the opportunity for discussion.
Good idea. And can I also just propose, I don't know how realistic this is for all of us, but maybe when the meetings are running late, again, I'm just thinking back to Lisa, poor Lisa sitting out there in the front waiting, and can we send out like a blast saying we're running 15 minutes behind so that everybody's aware, so we don't, show up and then, oh, we're running late, go home, come back, just send something out to all the members who are affected, as that ripple effect happens.
Yeah.
Be a good idea.
That's fair. I think we also learned a little bit about people getting in and out of the building and the fact that board members don't have, their own way to get in and out of the board office. So I think there are some other things that we can add to the sauce here as well and even some lessons along. Lest this turn into the Rich and Mike show, does anybody else have any questions, comments, strong feedback on the schedule of events, how the meetings themselves worked out, whether you were exhausted by the end or you still had energy ready to go, what's up?
I would just want to comment, to kind of piggyback what Mike was saying, like, I honestly don't know how we got through things at just half an hour before. Like, I almost think that what we were seeing coming out of committees before was, like a half an hour, right? And so I just don't know how, honestly, with everything that each committee is talking about tonight and we've all brought to the table, I kind of don't know how you could do all that and put value into the meeting in just a half an hour. It's just my thought.
I think I would concur with that. I just think we need to be conscientious of time eludes us, but we need to, I like the idea of scattering of the meetings, because as long as the days we've had, our superintendent has had just as long a day. And I think it's unfair to ask to stay even longer, even though these are exciting meetings. Priorities are what they are, right? And we still have to commute home, and we still have family to deal with. So maybe there's an idea that while operations is the first, and we didn't expect it to go this far, but maybe while operations is going on, then education in another room, like Mr. Junuzzi said, because at least that way, it's kind of all bubbling on the stove at the same time. But I think that I agree with Lisa. I'm shocked that everything was done. And again, I'm shocked, but I'm not shocked, because the formatting was the presentation. It's night and day. Things are different.
Yeah.
We're allowed to now explore a lot of the nooks and crannies where before that wasn't necessarily the case. So I just want us to just, as the board, as exciting as we all are with this, be cognizant of when people do go home at the end of the day. Because I don't want there to be any burnout with this either. Agreed.
Very thoughtful. Like I said, I'm here for the change, so it doesn't matter to me, but it's very thoughtful. And what we'll do for the next meeting is we will make different areas in the board office that everyone can meet, chips in every room, soda in every room. And, you guys can get started on at your time, and you can stay as long as you need me, and others can go home if that's the case.
Okay.
And it's something new to try. And if we try that in the beginning of November and it's not perfect, we're going to keep iterating until we get to something that works really well.
I mean, dare I suggest that I know we want to stay in one night, but if
Might have to split
we
up
need
into
to
two.
split into 2 nights possibly as well.
Yeah.
I don't think we should yet, but something just to keep in the back of our minds, just in case.
I wouldn't say anything's off the table at this point. Right? Just measured scientific approach to
Yes.
what we change and how we change.
But overall, a big success, for sure.
Fantastic, fantastic. All right, any final comments on committees?
Mr. Chair,
Sure.
just one public disclosure. The agendas for the committee meetings, as well as the notes after the meeting, are posted in board docs for public view. So the public can see the deliberations that are going on and be part of it.
It's great to point out, thank you, because I think in the past, we've had a very light agenda that was posted to the public. We have had very light committee agendas that were posted to the public board agendas. And now we have the full agenda with the minutes to accompany them. So for anybody who's watching at home, if you want to go and read in detail what happened in the committees beyond what was already discussed, please feel free. All right. Before we move on to the next item, I noticed that we had some guests. Is there
Yes.
something special for us to
I
recognize?
think there must be something special.
Okay.
Hello, lovely robotics team.
Yeah.
Mr. Mormile suggested that we come down to show face for who we are. I know Dr. Freeman gave us a very nice shout out for our event that we held.
Sadly, you missed it, but it was very salutatory, yes.
We're working hard with
working
alternative
night school. We teach the alternative school program on
Gotcha.
Wednesdays.
Gotcha.
Stand in front of cameras so everybody sees your faces.
I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, good.
It's the full turn now.
Have on my back.
And you can feel free to put them down, you know.
Good job, guys.
Thank you.
No problem. I'm going.
Thank you guys.
Tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. And thank you, Dr. Worma, for making that happen. Way to go. All right, we are up to item number 4, open to the public for agenda items only.
I have one. I did actually have a chance to sit in at the SCESC.
I apologize for jumping over.
That's
that.
okay
Please.
because it really only happens once a month, so I just have a really, really quick update, like standard meeting format. Everything was approved tonight on the agenda. I'll just bring up 2 of the main issues that they're struggling with is bus transportation, finding bus drivers. So they're working with districts. Obviously, we don't have as much of a worry with that as a walking district as some of the other districts that they're servicing, but I'm hearing that there's just a lot of struggle getting drivers, getting contracts, things like that. They're also replacing an employee that's been with them doing building maintenance for like 30 years. So he was applauded. Today was his last day, so we congratulated him on that. And then I think that's pretty much it. A lot of the conversation is around transportation and busing, that they're really having, they're struggling to get bus drivers. So.
Got it. All right. Thanks, Lisa, for the update. Any comments or questions for Lisa? All right. Okay, so now we are open to the public for agenda items only. We don't have anybody here in the room with us tonight, so Tom, do we have any comments?
Nope.
All right, we are up to item number now. So I will say this, I know that when we talked about reformatting the meetings, the emphasis for this meeting was to be on discussion, and I think about, what are we, almost 50 minutes into the meeting, you can really feel that. There's going to be meaningful discussion about these items. With that being said, we still do have some actionable items to move on the agenda tonight, as well as some items to address in executive session. So we're gonna move on to that part of the agenda, but hopefully moving forward, we'll continue to keep those items to a minimum during the discussion meeting and move the majority of them at our second meeting. All right, so 5.1, resolve that the Bound Board of Education approves the minutes for the following meetings. This is regular and executive meeting minutes for September 28th, 2022. I have a motion.
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Val. A second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, can we do a roll call, please?
Mr. Bell,
Yes.
Mr. Dawson,
Yes.
Ms. Guzino,
Yes.
Ms. Lima,
Yes.
Mr. Minhas,
Yes.
Ms. Musin,
Abstain.
so noted. Mr. Zupko.
Yes.
And Mr. Januzzi.
Yes,
Mr. Board President, motion passes.
thank you. We are up to item 6.1, resolve that the superintendent recommends for approval the resolutions as outlined in personnel resolutions under district and high school. This is 6.2 through 6.18. Have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Zupko. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Guzino. Any discussion? Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I just want to point out and thank Mr. Di Benedetto on his impending retirement. He's been a fantastic asset to the district, as a part of our maintenance department. Obviously, we're going to miss him, but wish him the best and hope that he enjoys whatever comes next from here. Any other comments or questions on section 6? Okay, hearing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Bell,
Yes.
Mr. Dawson,
Yes.
Ms. Guzino,
Yes.
Ms. Lima,
Yes.
Mr. Minhas. Yes. Ms. Musin,
Yes.
Mr. Zupko.
Yes.
Mr. Januzzi.
Yes,
Mr. Board President, motion passes.
thank you. We're up to item 7.1, resolve that the superintendent recommends for approval the resolutions as outlined in personnel resolutions under middle and elementary schools. This is 7.2 through 7.11. Have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Fowler. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Muslin. Any discussion? Everybody got all talked out in the committee reports, I guess.
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Bell,
Yes.
Mr. Dawson,
Yes.
Ms. Guzino,
Yes.
Ms. Lima,
Abstain.
so noted. Mr. Minhas,
Yes.
Ms. Musin,
Yes.
Mr. Zupko.
Yes.
Mr. Januzzi.
Yes,
Mr. Board President, motion passes.
thank you. Item 8.1, resolve that the Bound Board of Education approve the resolutions as outlined in education resolutions under district and high school. This is 8.2 through 8.6. Have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Bala. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Zupko. Discussion? Ms. Guzino, I know you had some questions on item 8.3. Were those resolved?
They were resolved. Thank you.
I actually had a quick question about 8.3. Is this something that we see happening going forward, or is this something that's temporary because we didn't have a better solution for now? Is this something that we should have been doing all along to make space?
Well, our population is growing, so it requires, I guess in the past, we tried to do it, but it didn't work out well.
Okay,
In order to give the students the best accommodations so that they have a great testing environment, we would, have to make this adjustment.
right, that's why I'm asking. Exactly, okay.
Any other comments or questions?
Yay, robotics.
Always.
Yay, robotics. They
Always.
left again.
I know,
We
they
love
left.
them, they arrive, they
They're busy
leave, we love
people.
them again, yes. They're doing fantastic work.
I have a question on the blood drive. I'm sorry, the time is right in here. I was gonna say, when do most students attend that, or they can use a study hall to go do that? How is that executed? Like, if a student wants to give blood, how do they fit it into their schedule?
Mr. Mormont, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm gonna guess it's convenient for them during their PE,
Okay,
because I believe it's held down here in the gym. I'm not sure about that though.
okay.
We'll get you an answer.
Yeah, no, okay.
I'd like to sit 2 p.m. in the auxiliary gym
Then it should be flexible. Definitely, they won't be there the whole time.
I was there all those hours.
Oh. Sorry to hear about that.
I will say, I've worked with that organization, New Jersey Blood Services, and other community blood drives. And I find them to be very responsible and skilled working with students and teachers. Usually they arrive with quite a number of really friendly personnel, and they make the experience of donating blood, I think, something that ultimately the goal is for kids to see the value in it and to continue doing that throughout their lives. So I think it's a nice thing that our district is partnering with them to provide that service.
Any other comments or questions on this section? Okay, hearing none, can we do a roll call, please?
Mr. Bell,
Yes.
Mr. Dawson,
Yes.
Mr. Zeno,
Yes.
Ms. Lima,
Yes.
Mr. Minhas. Yes. Ms. Newsom,
Yes.
Mr. Zupko,
Yes.
Mr. Januzzi,
Yes.
Board President, motion passes.
Thank you. We are up to item 9.1. Resolved that the Bound Board of Education approves the resolutions as outlined in education resolutions under middle and elementary schools. This is 9.2 through 9.9. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Minhas. Discussion. I mean, the volume of activity in this section just
Yeah,
speaks, volumes for itself.
agreed.
Fantastic. I think the mentoring program for Middle Earth in particular is impressive. I know, we have deep ties with them, but just continuing to enhance that relationship is really great for our
The only thing I noticed in there that I wish they could have more than 30 minutes per week, honestly. It's a pretty short period, but, something is better than nothing for sure. I wish they had more than 30 minutes, per
for the
week,
mentoring.
30-minute sessions.
Gotta start
We will
somewhere.
take what we can get for sure.
And that doesn't account for the transportation. It's just this 30.
I think it's 30 minutes of contact.
Okay. Because this is after school though, right?
Yeah.
No, this one is
Is it during the day?
during lunch or advisory periods.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, which is why I would assume the short, 30 minutes lunch.
Yeah, they have to fit it into the
Right.
So they come to the school.
That is the way I'm reading it.
Yes.
I have a question on 9.8.
Sure.
What will the supervision look like on that for school days? How will that be?
I'm hoping for a minimum 3-foot distance between the boys and the girls. Selfishly, with an 8th grader.
How much,
You mean the ratio?
well, no, for staff. I mean, what big people will be there?
Okay.
We have volunteers, chaperones, student council, plenty of people there.
Okay.
Principal will be there, so we have plenty of supervision.
The middle school has had dances before, right?
Yes. All right, any other questions on section 9? All right, hearing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Bell,
Yes.
Mr. Dawson,
Yes.
Mr. Zeno,
Yes.
Ms. Lima,
Abstain.
so noted. Mr. Minhas. Yes. Ms. Newsom,
Yes.
Ms. Zupko.
Yes.
Mr. Januzzi,
Yes.
Board President, motion passes.
Thank you. We are up to item 10.1, resolve that the Bound Brook Board of Education approves the resolutions as outlined in policy resolutions under district and high school. This is just 10.2. I have a motion.
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. A second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Zupko. Any discussion? Hearing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Bell?
Yes.
Mr. Dawson?
Yes.
Ms. Gazino?
Yes.
Ms. Lima?
Yes.
Mr. Minhas?
Yes.
Ms. Musin?
Yes.
Mr. Zupko?
Yes.
Mr. Januzzi?
Yes,
Mr. Board President, motion passes.
thank you. Item 11.1, resolved that the Bound Board of Education approves the resolutions as outlined in special services resolutions. This is just 11.2. I have a motion.
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Ballard, second.
Second.
I'm going to give it to Mr. Zupko. Discussion? Okay, hearing none, can we do a roll call, please?
Mr. Bell?
Yes.
Mr. Dawson?
Yes.
Ms. Gazino?
Yes.
Ms. Lima?
Yes.
Mr. Minhas?
Yes.
Ms. Musin?
Yes.
Mr. Zupko?
Yes.
Mr. Januzzi?
Yes,
Board President, motion passes.
thank you. We are up to item 12.1 now. Resolved that the Bound Board of Education approves the resolutions as outlined in financial resolutions. This is 12.2 through 12.11. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Ballard, second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Minhas. Any discussion?
Thank you for the dictionaries.
Yes.
Absolutely.
A quick question about the fundraiser. So I understand it's gonna be starting from now to the September of next year. Is my understanding correct or not?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I make a mention from the donations? Are we allowed to publicly, and it's in the agenda, right? So we're allowed to announce who's donating what and, I wonder if it would be just a great community, relations thing to put on social when we get a donation, who it's from and what it is, and
Good idea.
and put that onto our Facebook posting.
And you can add the fundraiser too, that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we've already gotten some donations already for this past year, so maybe we can go back even and grab some of those other.
and we can also use it for community outreach as well
Yeah,
to those.
that'd be great.
With respect to mentioning donations, with the permission of the person or company donating.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I had a question on that, item 12.4 actually, which is the background checks for district volunteers.
Yes,
Is that something that we have not been doing in the past?
right. I actually had a couple of people ask. I thought about it for a minute. I said, well, no, we don't usually pay for those things. But I said to myself, we're not paying them for their services. So the least we can do is pay them for
The background check.
their background check, because in the end, if we didn't, they'd come out on the losing end in terms of financially as well.
You're not only investing the time for free, but investing money as well, yes.
So,
It's great. But I guess my question was slightly different. We've required that in the past. The change here is that we are going to be covering the cost.
I'll say this, we're more consistent with it now.
With 12.11, we are rescinding or previously submitting demographic study. Can I get a quick update on what the difference between what's being submitted now versus what had been previously submitted?
Yeah, and Roger can probably elaborate on this because we discussed it in committee, but we had asked from the operations committee that there would be multiple proposals solicited to make sure that we understood what was available out there in the marketplace.
We wanted to look at, there was an initial one that was presented. And we all said, well, we want to look into to see if is there anything else that we can look at? Is there another? And this one, we decided to end up majority role. We went with the ones that were in the committee we looked at and said, this one, we're gonna go with in relation to its meat and potatoes that we're looking at least for this year. We can always look at other organizations next year, but just to start off before, but this will be a comprehensive first presentation.
And there's no cost for it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's.
Everything has a cost. There's a cost for it.
So this is just the proposal of it, but then once you get,
It's
how do we know?
$3,950, I believe.
No,
That's
No, no, no.
the cost of the demographic study.
No.
That's what it says right here.
Yes.
The cost of the demographic study is $3,950 inclusive of expenses.
Oh, yeah.
It is something that will, as I said before, it will look at some projections and help us out with overall decision-making now and in the future. Because we all know our enrollment is increasing. And so, like it says, you know, the enrollment as of 21-22 was 1954, and in 2016, 2017, it was 1898. So each year we're going up. So we just need to look at trends, we need to look at developments, demographics, things that will help us make some better decisions, budget-wise, classroom size-wise, staff ratio-wise, all of these things, maintenance-wise, that will going forward as we build our budget going forward. At least we have an idea to say, all right, you know, we're looking at this gain population, this is how it's going to affect the district A, B, and C, and now we can go forward and make not just comprehensive decisions, but make decisions that are equitable. I think that's really the name of the game. We want to make equitable, fair decisions for most people. So I think that'll be something that'll definitely help us.
And it had been a while since something.
It had been a while since we had this done. Mr. Gorski, when was the last one performed? Roundabout.
I did some research, I couldn't find one, and I went back several years, so.
Yeah, so 7+
It's been a while.
years, at least several, because I don't remember one ever taking place while I've been here. So I think that this is something to, I think this will open our eyes and enlighten us into some of the relevancies. We don't even realize what's going on in town. Again, forward thinking, being proactive, but I think that, you know, based on discussions within the committee, I think that this will deliver us, I think, a good chunk of information that'll help us out.
Mr. Chair? It certainly was a proactive action of the board, as recommended by the superintendent, to put this on the agenda tonight for the demographic study. But it was very timely also because in speaking with the architect today, as a matter of fact, there's another resolution on authorizing the submission of the long-range facility plan. As part of the submission of the long-range facility plan, the DOE has requested a fresh demographic study, so this is perfect timing.
Perfect.
And Mr. Chair, some questions came up about the study itself. This is a one-time engagement for the demographer to do an enrollment projection for a 5 or 10 year period. 5-year projections are generally pretty accurate. When it goes beyond 5 to the 5 to 10 range, it gets a little fuzzier. And this is a study that, as Mr. Zupko said, will pay dividends to a lot of the administrative planning for class space and pupil-teacher ratios and all the important metrics. Great.
So this is a one-time thing, and so it's not as though we kind of have them for 5 years. And I only ask because we do a 5-year study. How to say this? 2 to 3 years from now, things in our town change quickly. And they won't be still available to us to update at that point, right? We would have to wait or rehire them, so to speak, to do another 5-year projection.
Right, so we're hiring them now. They're gonna do analysis and
one time.
present us results within the next 60 to 90 days. And that'll be the conclusion of this engagement. We can choose to repeat this with this vendor or another vendor at any point in time at our discretion. But the results really should be viable for us to continue to use and reuse, at least for a few years.
And this vendor is soup to nuts, beginning to end? From the study to
The study to the
the
report.
presentation
Yes,
to the
ma'am.
public? Okay.
Yeah, I think this proposal includes a presentation back to the board.
The board, right?
It would be at our discretion whether or not we want the vendor to come out and do that, or we want administration to do that, which we may choose one or the other for a variety of different purposes. But I think that's something we would talk about in committee once we have the results.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, section 12?
One last thing, just want to point out, since we pretty much did every item on here, is the, thank you to Mr. Smith for the AP Computer Science, filling out the application for the funding for that.
All right. With the discussion exhausted, why don't we do a roll call on section 12?
Mr. Bell,
Yes.
Mr. Dawson,
Yes.
Mr. Zeno,
Yes.
Ms. Lima,
Yes.
Mr. Minhas,
Yes.
Ms. Musin,
Yes.
Mr. Zupko.
Yes.
Mr. Januzzi,
Yes.
Board President, motion passes.
Thank you. We are up to other matters to come before the board or any public question.
I got nothing online.
Great. Don't think we have anything in the room. Awesome. Is there any new business that any board members would like to raise at this time? You sat up straight like you had to.
No.
Edith,
Oh, please.
I was ready for it. Okay, then I think we are ready to move into executive session. This would be under, I believe, Bob, please correct me if I'm wrong. This is under 1. And is it 4 or 6? 4. Okay. So resolved that the Falmouth Board of Education enters executive session as allowed by NJSA 10.4-11. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Bell, second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
still, we're still streaming.
Oh, okay.
Are you sure? He shut it off when we went through there. Unless he turned it back on.
Yes, we are unmuted now.
Very good.
Okay.
We are up to item 17.1. Resolved that the Brattleboro Board of Education approved the resolutions as outlined in approval of HIV cases under middle and elementary schools. This is 17.2 and 17.3. I have a motion.
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Guzino. Can we do a roll call, please?
Mr. Bell,
Yes.
Mr. Dawson,
Yes.
Ms. Guzino,
Yes.
Ms. Lima,
Abstain.
so noted, thank you. Mr. Minhas,
Yes.
Ms. Musin,
Yes.
Mr. Zupko.
Yes.
Mr. Januzzi,
Yes.
Board President motion passes.
Thank you. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. A second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Lima. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Have a great night, everybody.
No one's getting this stuff. So I can fly on the way. Take care.
Good night.